Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get a very nice hour of some 505 loop station beat making. It's all vocals. And as I make a beat here, I'm going to be talking about what I'm doing on these loop stations. Join us for the technical details. This is helpful if you are looking to get one of these devices. It's also enjoyable if you are just the kind of person who likes music devices and you want to... You're going to get all of that in the next hour. Man, it is going to be really good. Right now we are in a warm-up phase. We are just hanging out to this beat that I made. This foundation of a beat that I made before the stream began. I'm gonna start talking about how I made this one and then keep building on it. But right now I see in the chat, I am getting caught up on the chat, and I see my man Thomas is here. Welcome. And Thomas has a comment. Let me see what this says. He says, I thought of your last track, thinking of Dietermeyer. Which track are you talking about? Which one is my last track? The Yellow Singer used to make his flow lines on 4-track cassettes. In the chat also I see that. a moment ago. Thomas says, the one I just added, the song, the YouTube video that I just added, where I put some rap lyrics in it. Ah, I got it. I'm up to speed on what you're referring to. This is good. Thinking of Dieter Meyer, going back now that I know what you're talking about. That's an artist, the Yellow Singer. Okay, I don't know who that is, but I may have to go and see what this 4-track cassette reference you're making is. It's very synchronous that you bring that up, because there is, I wish I had the link. I wish if I had the link available, I would post it in the chat. I just recently received a link that I would be sharing to a bunch of recordings that I did like 22 years ago. 22 years ago. I just recently received a link from this guy I used to collaborate with. And we made some really off-the-wall stuff. Like, experimental to the max, and then, like, occasionally there would be this glorious thing that emerged. And he just sent me a link to, like, hours and hours and hours. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know exactly how long it is. But likely exceeding 1 hour, let's say. Anyway, I bring this up because he used 4 tracks. That's why I bring it up. So we recorded on his 4-track, if I recall. I think it was a 4-track. We'd be like banging on a piano and shouting and doing different voices. It was bonkers. It was really wild. So thank you for bringing a nice memory to my foreground. If you are new to the Reconsider It live streams, welcome! You made the right decision joining us. We want you here. While we are here in this warm-up phase, I am going to celebrate. I am going to celebrate Thank you for being here. Whether you are here or with us live in the chat, or you are here with us in the live, but you are not in the chat, or you are joining us after the live, watching on replay, however it is that you're joining us, thank you for being here. I have my drink. I am going to count up to 3, and then I'm going to clink the camera. You are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherfulness. 1. Whoa, the count up already? Yes, it's happening fast. 2. Whoa, the whole count up is ready? Yeah. 3. Clink. Cheers, my friend. Oh, that's good. That was really good. Please like this video. This is a 505 beat making stream, which means I'm going to just be building up a beat over the next hour. No direction in particular other than just talking to you about what I'm doing as I do it. So how is this? How is this beat built up already? Well, on my lower looper here, that's where I keep my drums. This is all the 505 technical details. That's what this stream is. That's what you're tuned in for. Technical details. I invite your feedback. This is the second 505 beat making stream ever, and I'm doing it in response to demand. So let me know what direction to go with these. Am I on the right path? How else do you need some technical details about the loopers? So my percussion is always, or at least how I do it, it's always on my lower looper here, the bottom one. And this kick drum, this is my more powerful one. I have another kind of kick drum that's very, it's much more subtle. It's not like a actual kick. It's more like a little knock. So this is the more powerful kick. This one is built out of an EQ. The EQ with a boosted low end. Passed into a lo-fi. That's how I make that kick. This clap is just an EQ with a reverb. The same EQ as the kick, by the way. So a little boosted in the lower end. And then also the hi-hat, same thing. So that's it. They're panned. Generally speaking, my streams are best consumed with headphones. I also put a reverb. For the vast majority of my beats, I have a few different output effects that I use. And usually those output effects include some kind of a reverb. This lower looper, the bottom one, this is the first 505, the Mark I 505. And it's only got one kind of reverb. So, reverb. If it's not reverb that I'm doing on the side, it might be some kind of delay, or what they call in this machine a tape echo, which is basically a delay. So a couple different kind of delays. I also have this other effect which I love. I didn't try it on this beat. I love that effect. I could overdo that effect so easily, but the limiting factor is that it's very... I mean, the machine is just taking the looper, the audio file. There's literally just wave files in here. And this effect... you can hear that it's just like... it's just like a repeating chop kind of thing. So dope. So all it's doing is literally taking the wave file and chopping it up. So what that means is it's really sensitive to how well spaced everything is. If I do some kind of like kick loop here, and it sounds pretty good, and it sounds good to my ears, it sounds good to your ears, but it's actually, if you go look at the waveform, it's actually slightly lopsided. Then this effect is not really going to work. That effect is not really going to work well, because it's going to be, chopping it up at the wrong spot, quote unquote wrong. So there is that sort of saving grace to it. But when it works, I'll totally overdo it. I see right now that Beats is with us. I also see there's some chatting in here that I need to get caught up on. Thomas says, I have a 303. What is a 303? Is that a kind of looper? I know they make a 202. These are the 505, so it's got 5 waves, you could say, 5 loops. I know they have a 202. I thought about getting one of those, because that could be like a little vocal looper. It's just 2 channels. That'll be really easy if I want to do 2 raps, 2 loops or something real quick, while reserving my loopers for the music. I never did that though. I also see right now in the chat that the studio has joined us. So we are doing a 505 beat making stream. Let me get back. Where were we? I was talking about the loopers, and the Mark I has only one kind of reverb. So I put other kind of delays and stuff. Thomas clarifies that the 303 is in fact a looper, but it's a pedal board. Ah. I know they also make a 600, which is identical to this top looper, which is the Mark II. The Boss 600 looper is the same as the 505 Mark II, except it's a totally different piece of hardware. So it's like a different UI, but it's identical functionality, I believe. That's what I thought I heard or read. But the 303, I can't get a visual of it. I'm not sure if I've seen it. There is another looper that Boss makes, but I don't know if it's the one that you're describing. In any case, Thomas says it's got 3 loops. Okay, I get it. That's cool. So it sounds like, Thomas, you're saying that you use it with your synths and keyboards. If there is something that I can help you with, that's what this stream is about. This is like, I can't say this is technical support. That's probably going too far. Technical support for loopers. That's not what this is. But certainly like a brainstorm area. Maybe I'm your 505 buddy. Or just looper, you know, in general, because there may be some things I can help with, even though I don't know the looper you're using. I might still be able to, oh, try this idea. So that's also appropriate here on a 505 beat making stream. In any case, as I'm describing the 505 technical details here, I still have to describe the rest of the beat that already exists, and then add some more. So right now, I have the bass and this other, whatever this is. This like heavily chopped thing. So how do I make this bass? What is this bass? Let's see. If you are familiar with the 505 Mark II, if you have one, if you've used it, then the next thing I say might sound very straightforward to you. But if you are not familiar with the looper and you're watching for those technical details, and you're thinking about, you know, how can you use this looper for yourself if you wanted to, would this be a cool thing for you to start experimenting with? So that's what I'm going to share with you now. This top looper allows you to save into it 4 different pre-configured input stacks of 4 each. So imagine you get 4 instruments and you get to build each of those instruments out of 4 different types of sound effects. So that's what I'm going to share with you now. How did I build this beat, this bass line rather? Because it's just me sitting there like I'm not exaggerating at all. That's actually what I sound like when I do these bass lines. That's it. I can't. I'm not a great singer. I don't do like, you know, I'm not some modern beatboxer who can sound like an ambulance while he also is rapping, and it's some kind of like heavy trap beat and it's all happening at the same time. And it's like, how are you doing this a cappella? That's not me. I'm like really bad at all that stuff. The looper is what makes it sound like an instrument. So how did I build the bass? I see right now that pro beatboxer is into place. And S, you're right. Yeah, it's both a Mark 1 and a Mark 2. Mark 1 on the bottom, I use that mostly for just percussion stuff. Mark 2 on the top, I use that for all the melodies and bass and stuff. Ash being a pro beatboxer, Ash knows what I'm talking about when I say like the just wizardly magic that these professional beatboxers can do. It's like, it's nuts what these magicians can do a cappella. Ash knows all about that stuff. In any case, the bass. How did I build this bass instrument? So first of all, when you build any one of your 4 instruments and you get to stack 4 different input effects, when you do that, the input effects take effect in the order that you stack them. So I start the bass line with something called guitar to bass. Ta-da! It takes whatever you put into it and just makes it, you know, way, probably, I don't know how many octaves down. So it just makes it into a bass, as though you were going to plug in an acoustic guitar to make it sound like a bass guitar. So I start with that. That's how I built this bass sound. On top of that, that's the first input effect I add in. And then after that, and that was actually this one over here. That, you probably can't see it. You can see that I'm pointing to these 4 colors here. The one all the way on the left, that's the guitar to bass, the bass line. That's really the majority of it. After that, I pass it into the electric effect. The electric effect is the auto tuner. So even though I can't sing, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, the electric is what makes it auto-tuned onto a certain key. Oh, and by the way, for my musician friends who like to jam along, this one is tuned to the key of F, and the beats per minute is 116.8. So the bass, guitar to bass, passed into the electric, which is the tuner. The third one, this is a sustainer, which is basically just like volume, but there's a little bit of a loudness aspect as well. Not strictly volume. And then all of that is passed into a reverse reverb. Reverse reverb exists only on the Mark II. It does not exist on the Mark I. Mark I just has one kind of reverb. So here on the Mark II, my bass line, very raw, guitar to bass, passed into the tuner, passed into the loudness, and then passed into reverse reverb, which is pretty nice. But what about these other ones? What about these other layers that I have in here beside the bass? Here's where you can really hear my just raw voice in there. There's not really any singing happening. How did I build this one? What's this one built out of? And by the way, you may also notice that the bass was in the middle. You may or may not see me using these volume sliders here. The bass line's in the middle. That's my personal style. But I always put the bass in the middle, and then anything to the left or right is panned accordingly. So there's a little bit of panning to the left and right for these two that are to the side of the bass. And then there's more panning in these ones that are further away. Usually. I have a couple of palettes where I mess with that a little bit, and it's not strictly that. But in any case, the bass line is in the center, and these on the sides, close, panned, but still close to the bass. These are generally the same instrument, but some harmonic of each other, usually. So how did I build this one? You can hear that it's really chopped. It gets very chopped. So this one is built out of something called a distortion, which is what it sounds like. It gives it much more of like a, I guess, a sharpness. There's different modes of distortion. This one was a fuzz. And you can hear a little bit of fuzziness in there. Again, if you're using headphones, these live streams, reconsider it live streams, are always best consumed with headphones. And in this one, you can hear there's a little bit of a fuzz. You also hear very pronounced that chopping, that slicing. So the distortion is the first one. That's the root, I don't know, sound effect. Passed into the electric, which is the tuner. Generally, I do put the bass, the core element or core effect in the first slot, and then I generally put the electric, the tuner, in the second slot. That's my style. I probably still have some palettes somewhere where I built them before I adopted that convention. But this one follows that. So distortion, electric, and then it's passed into that step slicer. The step slicer is what makes it sound so like syncopated or chopped up at the end there. I don't know if it's clear on the camera, but most of these buttons up here, these 4 buttons, most of them are red, but this third one here is pink. That may or may not be clear on the camera. Looks like it might be clear enough. That highlighted color means that's the one that's being dynamically controlled with this wheel. This wheel here. So that's why it's like solid a little bit, but then gets more choppy. So again, that was a distortion, the electric tuner, the step slicer, and then all of that is passed into a tape echo 2, which is just a type of delay or a type of echo. So we are caught up. We are caught up at this time, which is very good, my friends. But the next thing to get caught up on is the fact that the crazy has joined us. Yes. Ash says that you have an MK1. That's the one I had too. My MK2 is relatively new-ish. I guess maybe I shouldn't say that. It's been I got the Mark 1 I think it was 2017. It might have been 2016, but let's just say it was 2017. And I started using that, and I used to make these like really raw, because I can't sing. I never got into like melodies and such. I just did this like raw beats. And I didn't used to like. Here's another detail that I brought up in the previous 505 beat making stream about my technique. When I had only one looper back in 2017, when I just had the Mark I down here, I had to use all 5 of these channels for stuff. I couldn't do things like, oh yeah, let's use 2 separate loops for a harmonic of itself. I didn't do that kind of stuff. And if I did that, I would just overwrite the loop and I would overdub it, which is another technique. But I had to make very economic use of these 5 loops on the bottom. Bass line, and I only had one beat or one channel rather, for all the drums. I didn't split it up like I do now. Now this whole looper down here, this whole bottom looper, it's just to split out the drum beat. So it's like, here's the hi-hats. I didn't used to do that kind of stuff. So having a second looper, man, it's really good. That was 100% high recommend, totally worth the investment. And if you can actually sing, unlike me, you do way, way cooler stuff than what I do. Woo. I just noticed. This world needs a hero. Which it does. The time has come to add some more to this beat. We took a half an hour here to just talk about what I already did. So let's add some more to this beat. And what am I gonna do? So you may notice that what I've just described for you is the bass line and then this other weird thing, whatever this is. So that's 2 different instruments that I've pre-programmed into the loopers. And because each saved configuration, each palette as I call it, each palette allows you to save 4 instruments. I got the bass line and this other weird thing. That means I have 2 more instruments to play with. I also have 2 more empty loops, so I'm just gonna put 1 in each of them. That's usually what I do. Sometimes I'll take one of them and put it in both, and I'll have another one of those harmonic things. And then the final instrument I'll just use for improv solos and, dynamic vocals rather than a loop. But today, I think I'm probably just going to put one of my instruments in each of these. Let's see. I don't know what these are. I'm going to switch off of using the mic as my discussion, my words, and I'm going to flip it over to going into the looper. So let's do it. we have this thing. Whatever you call this. How did I build this one? This one is also built out of a distortion, like this other one. But this was a distortion set to fuzz, whereas this new thing I just made, this is a distortion vocal. That's just technical details if you're going to dive into the 505. If you're not diving into it, it's just some setting. Don't worry about it. But the distortion type is what this one is built out of. That's my first one. Passed into the electric, the tuner, and then passed into a tremolo. And you can hear it starts getting choppy in parts. Anytime I do that, where I have more than one instrument has a tremolo, a slicer, even delay, anything that's timed, I'll always make them synchronized in some way. Usually that means just setting them to the same, every 16th note or whatever it's set to. But sometimes not. Sometimes I'll set one to a 16th note and another one to a 32nd note or something like that. But I'll make them synchronize in some way. I won't make them like weird and clashing. I used to do that a lot. If you have familiarity with my music history, it's just absolutely all over the place. Absolutely all over the place in terms of like, what would you say, like genre? I didn't always do live looping beatbox stuff. Some of my stuff is real different. Studio 8FX says, I'm just going to be here listening. That's cool. That's a common live stream behavior. That's usually when I'm listening to live streams. I'm usually like, take a, what is it called? Bluetooth, speaker or something, and I'll go in the other room. Like, I'm often not at the chat. Sometimes I am. But I'm often not. Or I have it on, like, in a browser window, but I'm doing other things, and I'm not watching the browser window. I think that's how most people listen to live streams. Even though it's often that you find a very active chat, that's still comparatively a small proportion. They're just the only ones talking, so you see them. You don't see the people who are just listening. But they're also here. Hi, people who are just listening. We're thinking of you. So that's pretty nice. These are synchronized. What do we have here? Oh, that's like a 64th note. Wait, hold on. That's a 32nd note. And that's this one. This one is a 32nd note. This one here, also 32nd note. So, case in point, when I configured this palette of instruments, I synchronized the tremolo and the slicer. So there's one more. There's one more instrument. Because I've only used 3 so far. Bassline's one of them. Then there's this one. And then there's this new one. So that's 3 instruments I've used so far. And there's one more. You heard me playing around with it a little bit. I just didn't record a loop with it yet. Thomas says it's time for bed. That is some good self-care. I admire you for advocating for your needs. Please have a good sleep. As I see in the chat right now, also symptoms of is with us. Another one of my favorite output effects. I was talking earlier about how I do the reverb or a delay of some kind I usually have ready to go with the drums and with the top looper as well, actually. But then there's also this one. There's no top in this one. The low pass filter. It always sounds good on the drums. It doesn't always sound good on melodic layers. Like this one here, I don't know if it'll sound good on this one. But on the drums, it sounds good on the drums. And then you can just like, bam, bring it back. Bring the drums back. So I like the ability to turn the buttons on and off. Oh, by the way, for our friends like Ash who have the Mark 1, one of the, I always talk about how the Mark 2 is not just an upgrade. The Mark 2 is like 5 upgrades. There's so many more features compared to the Mark 1. But one in particular that is like, it's so useful for live performance is that on the Mark 1, the bottom looper here, all of these input effects and output effects, like whether I'm doing reverb on the drums here, you can enable it and then use this dial to set it wherever you want. Oh, cool, the reverb there's that much reverb, hooray. But then if I go do another one of the output effects, like that low pass filter I just did, well, now you're controlling the low pass filter. You can't go back to controlling the reverb. You can only disable the reverb and then re-enable it again, which can be really clunky in the middle of a song. You don't want to just like shut off the reverb if you're building up some kind of awesome ambiance. But the Mark II does let you do that. So like, here we are, I have a reverb on these here we go. This upper layer here, upper looper. No reverb. Now a lot of reverb. And now let's try the low pass filter on this. Yeah, see, it doesn't quite, there's a little bit of like, probably getting some distortion in there. So it doesn't always work well. But anyway, the point is, I'm controlling the low pass filter and the reverb is still on. But if I want to take the low pass filter, I'm like, oh man, that was such a good use of the low pass filter. Nice. Now the low pass filter's off. But the reverb hasn't been enabled yet for controlling again, for dynamically controlling. The reverb is still on, but I would have to go and press this sequence here. Now it's pink again. Now I'm controlling the reverb. And there's a lot of reverb, and there's not a lot of reverb. So the Mark II has that going for it. considering whether I should get another Mark II and replace this bottom one with it, or do a chain of 3. But my bottom one, my Mark II, since I got this back in, I never finished the story. So I got the Mark I, the lower looper, back in like 2017, I think is when it was. And I got the top looper during the pandemic. So that was during 2020. But the looper I got was like really broken. It wasn't working right. It wouldn't save. It would shut off. It like erased things. It was busted. And so I tried to use that for a number of months, but it was so inconsistent. Anyway, after a few months, I returned it and I got this. So it was like, I don't know, late 2020 maybe, when I really started using this looper, the top one, the Mark II. So it's been about 4.5 years maybe that I've been using the top one. I don't know where I was going with that. Maybe something about the selling points. I was talking about the reverb before. Oh well, whatever it was. I still do have this final loop channel here to use, and I have the final instrument to use. So let's see what's happening there. This one I'll describe before I start using it, and you can, then hear it when I go make a loop out of it. So this one that I'm going to use right now, this final, my 4th and final instrument for this beat. It is made out of a distortion also. Oh, so I made the whole palette out of distortions. Okay. A distortion fed into a distortion of type boost. Boost, it's called. Just another type of distortion. So distortion, which is the loud, grainy, edgy. That's the bass, or the fundamental component of this instrument that I'm about to use. That's fed into the electric, the tuner, and that's fed into what's called a dynamic. What do I have this set to? I have this set to the phone Vox, which makes it sound like it's coming through an answering machine or, speakerphone or whatever. And then that's all fed into a delay, an ordinary delay. Ooh, set to a quarter note. Wow. The other ones were all synchronized to 30-second notes. This one is set to a quarter note delay. Let's do it. I'm gonna make a loop. Let's go check out what this instrument sounds like. I'll make a loop. It's gonna be really just so extremely fulfilling and amazing. You're gonna be like, hooray! There's gonna be this big smile that happens across your face. And then you're gonna be like, oh, this smile happened because of what I'm listening to and hearing and experiencing. This is a good experience I'm having. That's all about to happen like immediately. In fact, it's kind of presently happening. You already are having this good experience, and you can kind of feel this smile creeping across your face. And you're like, he, I do have a smile on my face. He's right. Shout out to my people in the year 3807. Whoops. So that new layer I just recorded, this thing. That once again, this was the distortion fed into the electric, the tuner, fed into the dynamics, which was the phone soundingness to it. It fed into the quarter note delay. One thing that you might notice me do on my streams, or I guess technically anytime I'm making a beat, not just when I'm doing streams, but you might see that, like, I record something, I'm like, doing my really bad singing, and then you see me press this big button, and you can rewind this and see what I'm talking about. The big button is the one that records or stops recording. But you might also notice, usually, that I go up and press this other button up here. This, like, these green buttons. And you often see me do that, like, right after I stop recording something. That's because I'm adjusting the volume. One of the things that I was very slow to pick up on and notice was that the volume level of each of the loops matters. They can't be competing. They can't be clashing. I'm still kind of bad at it, actually. It's not one of my talents. I have to remember to do it on a conscious level. And I don't always remember to do that. Sometimes it comes out really, really well. I'm really excited to share with you, my friends, that is with us, as is all true. I see also Warheart is asking a question. Warheart says, "Hey man, I noticed you are pressing a bunch of buttons. What about foot pedals? Do you have any of those?" I have two answers that happen to coincide precisely, yet they are two different answers because they're answering two different questions. And the answers are no and no. But wait a minute, Warheart just asked one question. What are the two questions? Well, Warheart says, got any foot pedals? So I'm interpreting that in two ways, which is, do you own any, or otherwise have them readily available within your local three-dimensional space? Do you have any? Do you have any in your possession? The other question that I'm interpreting it as is, are any hooked up at the moment? So the answer is no to both. There's nothing hooked up right now. The loopers are purely what you see me doing with my hands. There's also a mixer over there that's off camera. So that's perhaps also relevant. Sometimes people ask that question, like, how do you get the loopers to, you know, both be playing? And the answer is not that I'm like routing one into the other. Like, definitely don't do that. You will immediately lose the ability to record anything into the second one. So you do need to have a mixer of some kind. I just have like a literal physical mixer. Mine has 4 channels in it. So I put each of the loopers in, also the synthesizer, which I'm not using on this stream right now. That also goes into a mixer. And the mixer, if you're thinking about getting a mixer, just make sure you have a mixer that is going to interface with whatever you're gonna do your recording and mixing on. Presumably a computer of some kind. So you'll need like a modern mixer with a USB output. I have an older mixer from, I don't know, not that long ago, but 2013. I know why it was 2013, but it was 2013. And that mixer that I got in 2013, which probably was not a 2013 model of mixer, but that's just when I bought it. Anyway, it says it has a USB, but every time I've tried to use the USB, it is like a very unreliable source. So as far as mixers go, it's actually really fly. It has what? Does it have like 8 inputs, or I forget how many inputs that one has. But it's big. Each channel has all sorts of effects and things. It's a good mixer. But the USB it never once worked for me well. So that's the only thing to be mindful of, in addition to what you're already thinking of. You're already thinking of like, how many input jacks is there? What can I do? Can I just do the volume, or can I also do panning and stuff? Like, what else? You're already thinking of a lot. Make sure that USB is in your thoughts. Warheart says, that's cool that everything is manual, that is to say with my hands. It's possible that some foot pedals could add something. You're totally right, and I've thought about that. I don't know what you would say. My beatbox, my hardware only beatbox guy who I admire the most is Carnage the Executioner, who true, you know Carnage. But Carnage is old school. Carnage was doing live beatbox stuff, you know, back in, I don't even know what it was, 2000, 2005 or something. Like, it was before 2005. So these things didn't exist at that time. You couldn't go get some kind of loop station. Nowadays, these loop stations are, you know, in high demand, and it's this like really complicated but self-contained thing that I can just go, I'd be like, and it makes it sound like this nice melody here. a nice melody. That's not me singing on key. That's this making it sound nice. But Carnage, he built his own stuff. If you ever get the chance to see Carnage live, like, go to that show. Like, whatever, like, it's a 100%, that's the priority for that day and time. Go to that show. Again, his name is Carnage the Executioner. That's a beatbox artist. You want to see like the real deal. Carnage is a real deal. And he has built his setup out of pedals. So this is still in response to what Warheart is talking about. Carnage built his whole setup out of just like individual pedals. It's really cool. If you do get the chance to see him, he usually is pretty comfortable just talking about his stuff. So if you go talk to him before or after the show, he'll talk to you about it. But he has this like big setup. He has this suitcase. It's so cool. Maybe it's not a suitcase, whatever it is, but it looks like a suitcase. And he like he uncloses it. He opens it. And as it folds out, both sides of the quote-unquote suitcase, or whatever it is, are just like very efficiently packed with all sorts of loopers and sound effect modules and things, and it's all hardware. He's got, cables all over the place. And they're built out of some old school, like, one-channel loopers. I don't know how many loopers he has, but he has a couple. And he chains them all up. And they're not MIDI synced. That's the most impressive part of his whole everything. I suggested to him once that we could do a MIDI synced collaboration. Because I've done shows with Carnage. I not only admire him, but I've done a whole bunch of shows with him. I technically did one collaboration with him, technically, but we did it during the pandemic, and it was remote. It wasn't like an in-person collaboration. But the last time I went up to play a show with him, I talked about that. I was like, oh, we should MIDI sync our stuff. And he didn't even know what he was like, whoa, you can MIDI sync it? His equipment isn't MIDI synced. He's just like a complete master of his craft. And he's got all these, cool loopers and like sound effects. That's what I'm trying to build up to right now. This is why I brought up his whole setup. Because Warheart says that foot pedals could add something, and I'm agreeing. They totally could, and I've thought about it, because I could easily hook up the pedals to go before input into the loopers, because I wouldn't want to put output effects coming out of the loopers, because there's so much. There's 5, 10 different channels. I don't want to have the same thing apply to all of them always. But input, yes, because then I can easily turn it on and off for different instruments I'm going to use. So that would be really cool. I would need to adjust my physical setup. But I agree. That could be like a long-term enhancement. Warheart says, whoa, did it just get louder? Warheart says, my first digital guitar pedal had a 1-track looper for 7 seconds. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like the old school loopers. Just like one piece of heart, just like one little loop. That's it. And it had, if you're lucky, it had 2 buttons on it. That's the kind of stuff Carnage built his whole awesome setup out of. Warheart is also agreeing that he's like, yeah, these like, I like how you phrase this, Warheart. He says, these standalone loop stations. Exactly. That's how I felt about it as well. I've often told my story musically, and I'm gonna try to make it brief and talk about it now also. But that's where I started musically. At least when I got to the point of writing my own music. I played percussion in a school band. I would write poetry and perform. I didn't do slam poetry, but performance poetry. I knew a lot of slam poets. That's something I never really talked about, my days in the poetry scene. That was probably like 3 or 4 years or so. In the late 20-aughts. Or no, in the early 20-aughts. 3 or 4 years, something like that, maybe. Probably not as much as 5. Anyway, when I started actually writing music, it wasn't using instruments. It wasn't using, a synthesizer like this or anything. It wasn't using a DAW where I could emulate a synthesizer. Nothing like that. I wasn't generating the music. I was just taking samples. So like a drum break or like some little bass line or something like that. And I had a library of samples. I think I got them from a friend of mine, but I think that he got them from... There's an album that he introduced me to, which is so dope. It's so singular. It's not like any other anything. It's dope. And I wonder for anyone here in the live, I'm wondering if you know this album. I see also right now that Trusco has joined us, which is like a very big enhancement. But this album I'm telling you about this probably came out in like 1996 or something like that. 98. I'm not sure exactly. But the album is called Let Us Play by Cold Cut. You know that? You know that? Let me know in the comments if you know that, or anybody in the chat who's here in the live in the chat. Do you know that album? The artist is Cold Cut. The album is called Let Us Play. Man, that is... Give me some words for that album. Funky, like, I just want to say dope, but I overuse the word dope. I like spelling it D-O-A-P as well. That's really dope. But Let Us Play is like this, cut up samples type of stuff. And this was back in the day when artists would release physical CDs. And when they released this physical CD of theirs, if I recall correctly, I could be remembering this wrong, but if I recall correctly, they released it as here's the album, the music album, but it was also one of those CD cases where you open it up and there's another disc in there. And the other disc that they gave had Sonic Foundry Acid and this huge library of samples. And supposedly that's how they made their album, with just all of these particular samples. And they're like, yo, if you want to try to, do what we did or make your own stuff, here you go. And so that was the first time I made music, that I created music, at least in any kind of recorded format. I made little rhythms and whatever before, but the first thing I could say, like, here, listen to this, MP3 that I made, that came from Acid. And just just arranging existing samples. I didn't make any drum beats. I didn't make any bass lines. I just took a sample and arranged it. And I did that for a number of years. And I always felt at the time how dope it would have been to have a piece of hardware where I could just record some kind of beatboxing stuff and make a bunch of loops like I was doing on the computer in Acid. But because I did record myself beatboxing a little bit and use it as samples in Acid. And I was like, oh, I wish I could do this with a piece of hardware. So yeah, I agree once again with Warheart. Like, if I had this kind of loop station back then, I would have got it back then. And then back in 2017, I kind of realized that, and I'm like, man, now that this loop station exists, I kind of have to get it. Because that was like, what? Not quite 20 years. I started making the Acid stuff in 1988. That's when I started making those arrangements. So 19 years later. So yeah, I wish these loop stations existed earlier, but I'm glad they do now. This is one of my favorite truisms. You're gonna love this. This is the kind of thing that you're gonna take with you for the rest of your life. This is gonna be so handy. I just caught myself saying, I wish these loop stations existed earlier. Now, while that's true, I do wish they existed earlier. That's true. That sort of thing is not really valid when it comes to the criticism department. So if I ever catch myself in, I don't know, some setting, and I say something like, oh, it's about time. This should have happened earlier. Why didn't you do this sooner? If I ever catch myself thinking that, here's the reframe that you're going to love. Everything should have happened sooner. Everything. Absolutely every single solitary thing that exists should have happened sooner. Would have been awesome if this had happened sooner. Everything. So that's not really like mature feedback. God, it's about time. Yo. Be thankful that it happened at all. Ever. So I try to remind myself of that. Man, I wish these loop stations existed back when I was doing that stuff in 1998. I wish the loop stations were then. I would have liked them then if they were at that time. That would have been good. Yes, of course it would have been good. I agree. So would, like, you know, the cure for seemingly incurable health conditions. It's gonna happen someday. We should have it now. But it's gonna happen whenever it happens, because that's when it's meant to happen. That's when, like, all of reality is ready for it to happen. Now we can have philosophical discussions regarding, like, why do I exist now in this time period where not absolutely everything has already been revealed? How dare all of reality put me in a position where there are things that are not yet revealed, things that didn't happen yet. This is outrageous. I demand everything immediately. Those philosophical discussions are better suited for a tinkering in the studio stream. Here we are doing a meager 505 beat making, and we have made a beat here on the 505 and talked about stuff. Warheart says you should see what Ed Peterson. Am I reading that right? Ed Peterson does with pedals. Cool. He's a loop pedal artist. I'm interested. It really is dope. It's so dope. Seeing other loop artists. I love watching other loop artists, like if they do a tutorial or they just, you know, do their style and they do some song, like they build beats and not necessarily beats. Sometimes you get like a drone session, but they build their stuff in ways that are so different from what I do or what I would have thought or anything. So it's so cool watching other loop artists. That includes, I like watching other artists who use the 505, but other equipment too, including software loop artists, Loopy Pro and all that. Oh my God. Viral just brought up like the mad awesome memory of Dub FX. Yeah, if you don't recognize that name, if you don't know what Viral's talking about, you're write that down and go search for that later. Search for Dub FX. You're gonna see some cool stuff. Viral says that you saw Dub FX pop back up in your feed somewhere or something. That's pretty cool. I wanna go watch some Dub FX recording, some performance. Warhart says that Ed Peterson is an experimental songwriter guitar guy. And he used to make pedals to make all sorts of crazy sounds. Yeah, if you like that, there's a guy who's part of my YouTube artist network called Loop Based Zero. I call him LBZ because we're down like that. But Loop Based Zero, if you check out his page, he does that kind of stuff. He's more on the side of like ambient-y, drone-y, noise type of stuff. Recently, he's been doing more. He's been getting a little more into things that are like more organized, easier for the lay person to follow, I would say. He's been doing a little more trending in that direction, like a clearly pronounced melody. A lot of times he'll do just like guitar noises, like running his fingernails on the... I don't even know what he does, honestly, most of the time, because the video, he has like interesting videos and stuff. You should check out his page, Loop Base Zero. Especially if you like that kind of stuff. You probably dig LBZ's as well. Tell him I sent you. Viral says, yeah, I'm subbed to his channel. Nice. That's one of the coolest things that I've learned and discovered since getting very active on YouTube. In retrospect, I wish I did this years ago. I've only been streaming for a year, just over a year. The 1 year anniversary was like a month and a half ago. So I guess 13 and a half months I've been streaming. And as I've met other artists who stream, as I've met other artists, it's really interesting how many of them also know each other. It's not just one large community, but there's like pockets and some of them are interconnected with others, but not everyone is. So I never know who knows who. I'm bad at tracking that anyway in life. I can't keep track of anything that has to do with social interactions. I just have zero processing power for that. So I never know who knows who. So that's cool, Viral, to hear that you know Lupe Zero. Viral made a post in my Discord. Warheart says that he's having a similar experience with being an active YouTube artist, and he feels that this is opening up doors for him. Similar social awkwardness. That's cool. That's very, I guess that's validating to hear that. That's cool. Friends, this has been a very, very nice, very glorious, very exciting 505 beat making stream. We got some nice time together building up the beat. You got to see all the little pieces of everything. I'm still looking for your feedback on that, by the way. My regulars know that this is the second time ever that I've done one of these 505 beat making streams. This is a brand new flavor of live streams. And I'm doing this upon request because I've heard multiple people ask me to do 505 tutorials, 505 details and things. So even though in all of my streams and in all of my content, it's a priority for me to give you a good experience. Even though that's true in general, for this stream in particular, for this 505 beat making in particular, I am very much looking to see whether this is giving you what you need. Because I'm doing this because you asked. And it's fun. I'll keep doing it. But where should I adjust? Did this stream meet your needs in terms of 505 explanations? Seeing how we build the whole beat up piece by piece, little bits here and there. I tell you about other little details, things as they occur to me. In this stream in particular, I went off on different tracks a little bit. I talked about my music history. Is that too much? Should I dial that stuff back on a 505 beat making stream and reserve that for tinkering in the studio? What do you feel is appropriate? Let me know what you are needing out of a 505 beat making stream. But as far as this beat today, you got to see all the magic sauce, everything that goes into how I approach making these beats. And we have a very nice beat. Once again, this one was tuned to the key of F. Beats per minute is 116.8. Saving this one off, maybe do something with it. I have taken that approach, by the way. As I change up my menu of live streams, I'm also changing up my other content on my channel. I'm beginning to move away from cutting up improvised performances from my loops and chill streams. Instead of that, I am saving the beats I make and then create something out of them later. Like later tonight or tomorrow or the next day or something. I might make some beat. Make some little 2 or 3 minute song out of this beat that I made on this stream. And maybe I'll add some lyrics in it. I just added that. That's what... Was that Thomas earlier was asking about that? On the stream earlier today, I think it might have been Thomas, but don't quote me on that. I might be accidentally misremembering that. But someone was asking about, or making a comment on the most recent video I released, quote unquote released, on my YouTube page. Which was exactly that. It was a beat that I made on a recent live stream. I made a little arrangement. I put a little 4-bar verse on it. Dope. So I'm considering exploring that as a new method of releasing content on my page. Take this beat I made and then go make a little song out of it. Maybe add some lyrics. So it continues to evolve. And thank you for being here as I evolve. And as you share your thoughts with me regarding that evolution and the direction and all of that. And thank you for being here today. Thank you for being here in general, but thank you specifically right here, right now. Thank you for being here now. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to celebrate you. I'm going to celebrate you right now. I'm doing it. I'm going to celebrate you. It goes like this. I'm going to count up to 3. And then I'm going to clink the screen. Man, it's going to be very, very exciting and nice. You are invited to join the rest of us as we clink along. 1. There it is. This is a very good count up. You are feeling very counted up at this time, and you are looking forward to... You are looking forward to having the fulfillment of all of it when it culminates now on... Clink. Cheers, my friends. Oh, that's so good. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please share this video with a friend who would like it. I see Warheart says some feedback about the 505 beat making. He says, yeah, man, just give me the 101 on the 505. You got it. These are fun for me to talk about the details and just otherwise sort of go off on tangents with you. That's fun. It's enjoyable for me, so I'm happy to keep doing these streams. Please keep giving me your thoughts on what else might be interesting for you to hear about. Do you need to hear about, you know, how they're MIDI synced or something? I don't know, other things like that. Something that's more about the setup rather than dynamically what buttons do I press. I see lots of cheers and clink action going on in the chat, which I like a lot. Studio 8FX coming in with some of that, which is nice. Woo! It is time for 1000 AM. Another 505 friend. If you're not familiar with 1000 AM, they do a jam session every Sunday. What is it? How long do you go? What, is it 3 hours or 4 hours or something? It's wild. There's two guys. They're multi-instrumentalists. And they're just like jumping around between the instruments, playing guitar and drum set and rapping. It's all improvised. They invite you to give him some input on what he's going to rap about. Shout you out in his raps, dynamically freestyling stuff. That's every Sunday. 1000 AM has the time in the chat right now. Noon to 4 p.m. Eastern time zone. on Sundays. And friends, while this was such a good experience together right now, I would like to see you again. I hope to see you again on the next live stream. I have just changed up the live stream menu. You can see full details if you go to my posts on my YouTube page. There's a post there with the menu. I made an image of a menu that looks like you're at a restaurant. And there's 4 flavors of live streams at this time, my friends. You never know which one you're going to get on any given day. It could be like this one right now, where it's the 505 technical details and just diving into all of that. That's one flavor live stream. Or you might get a loops and chill hour, where we do a bunch of beats on the spot, building the plane while I'm flying it. Not just the beat itself, but like the arrangement. Not a lot of talking in that one. I'm mostly performing. That's loops and chill. That's a second type of live stream. We got a third kind of live stream, tinkering in the studio. Tinkering in the studio is usually they go more than an hour. And I bring in the synthesizer. We talk about all sorts of stuff on tinkering in the studio. We'll go into philosophy and all of this. That's a third flavor live stream. And the fourth flavor live stream, which I haven't done one of these yet, but it's on the menu, it's coming. The fourth flavor live stream is called Unspoken. And it's just looper and synthesizer improvisation, but no words. If you see me do an unspoken stream, you're not going to hear any talking at all from start to finish. It's just going to be the sounds. And I don't know yet for sure how I'm going to handle those, but they're probably going to be very similar to my tinkering in the studio streams, which is just like random hanging out, jamming on the synthesizer and stuff. But it's possible that the no talking streams, the unspoken streams, those may lean into the droney ambient side of things. We'll see how those go. Warheart says the unspoken will drive you nuts. Oh, you like the interaction? That's good to know. I know that different people prefer different things, so that's why I'm giving the more of a palette, and I would like to see you at all of them. But you also have some opportunity to play a role in where you choose to indulge, where you come join us, what you're gonna like the most. And I hope to see you again. And until then, please have a very good rest of your day today. Please have a very uplifting rest of your day today. Please let the rest of your day today bring you hope. Please let the rest of your day today bring you clarity and glimmers of light. Please let the rest of your day today start you on a healing journey. Please let the rest of your day today bring you to new levels entirely. Please open up today. Please open up today to all of the good things that are waiting in store for you. It's beginning today, and I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.
Mm-hmm.